far off do you think we are from truly unsupervised?
I'm pretty confident saying it'll happen next year. I think what I've seen with version 14 has been really promising in terms of its capabilities. It's still too hesitant and occasional break stabbing, at least on 14.1.4. 14.1.6 is, has rolled out to test employees. So I imagine us early access users will be able to get it soon. But for the first time, I'm able to go from a parking spot to a parking spot at my destination without touching the steering wheel once. Version 13 couldn't do that. And so it sort of remains to be seen how it's going to do in the wintertime. Wintertime is very difficult.
Yeah.
But I think it's possible it could happen next year. Obviously, you need FSD unsupervised to be able to put the cybercab on the road without a steering wheel. So they're confident that it can happen by the spring of next year. So,
well, let's talk about the steering wheel for a second, and maybe bring in some mental notes from Farzad here, who was tweeting a lot on the timeline about there being a steering wheel in the car, going back and forth. So you want to talk a little bit about what we saw there with them having a steering wheel?
Yeah, Farzad's of the belief that Tesla is going to have to put a steering wheel and pedals in the cybercab because the regulations won't be caught up enough to be able to, for Tesla to be able to cross the 2,500 unit sort of maximum robotaxi threshold. I think is the number. And so he's like, well, they're going to have a massive amount of production capacity that's just going to be sitting there. And so to be able to fulfill that, they're going to have to put a steering wheel and sell this thing as a normal car. But the problem is this thing was designed to be a driverless robotaxi without a steering wheel and pedals. There's no back window. We'll see about the side mirrors. I think they might require that by law. But there's all these kind of decisions that they made with this vehicle because it's a robotaxi and not a car you just own in your everyday life. There's no frunk, there's no other things. I think the max speed is probably going to be like 85, 90 miles an hour is my guess, because you don't need a robotaxi to go quicker than that. I'm sort of with Omar on this, and that I believe that it's not going to have a steering wheel or pedals at launch, and they're not going to have to do that. I think once certain jurisdictions or certain localities approve this thing and the data is really good, I think it'll just be a snowball effect from there, and other states will be quick to approve it. At least I hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, I don't know what they'll do. But my guess is, and Elon said this last week at the shareholder meeting, he's like, we'll be able to make as many as we can. He doesn't think that the regulatory hurdles will be an issue. And so we'll see what happens, but I don't think it's going to have a steering wheel. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. And do you feel like there's a lot more likeliness of all this getting passed because the administration, and they go through their, tumultuous events, but it seems like the administration, for the most part, has a good relationship with Elon?
Yeah, I mean, I think Trump does at this point. I think they're cool. Obviously Sean Duffy, who's the head of the transportation department, and Elon have gone at it in recent weeks because Sean Duffy was also the head of brief head of NASA. But now Jared Isaacman will take that over.
Oh, is it officially confirmed?
Well, Trump has again selected him, but I think he still has to be officially confirmed by the Senate and whatnot.
Sure.
But I suspect that will happen. I think it'll be okay. I think at the end of the day, people will look at the data and be like, okay, this is safe enough, and just roll it out. But you never know what could happen with politics, I guess.
Yeah. Could be interesting. We'll see where that one goes. I want to just dive a little bit deeper into the lineup. So we did see new versions of some vehicles coming out, kind of like a cheaper version that I don't think was too well received by investors. But there's several different versions now. You have the larger Model Y in China. What do you think comes next for this lineup, which now has a pretty wide array of vehicles?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, because on one hand, I'm like, okay, are they going to come out with a refreshed Model S and X maybe in the next year or two? But the sales volumes are really low. What does the future of the Cybertruck look like? Because they've only, through Q1 to Q3 of this year, they only sold about 17,000 of those. And, obviously that has 125,000 unit per year installed capacity. So they're well below capacity on that. So if I had to guess what will happen, additions to the lineup will be some sort of cyber SUV that will be able to fill out that excess capacity at Giga Texas for the Cybertruck line. And The Model 3 and the Y will probably stay the same for a little while. They just refreshed the Y this year. The Model 3 was last year, and obviously they're like the Model Y is still the number one best-selling car in the world. So that'll
How
probably
many
just stay the same.
how many miles have you put on yours?
I think it's like 5,500, 6,000, something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
you drive more than me. I only drove like 2,000 miles this whole entire past year.
oh wow, that's wild. That's
I live on
I
an
know
island. You
I
can't
know
drive
so
very far.
yeah, I know someone who only drives 2,000 miles a year. They bought like a brand new Model Y. I was like, that yeah, they probably should have kept their old car to be honest. Yeah, I don't think there are going to be that many additions to the Tesla lineup in the coming years outside of like the Robovan and maybe your Cyber SUV because once the Cyber Cab gets going, that's going to serve a lot of people's needs, honestly.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it'll give a lot more people an opportunity to experience being inside of a Tesla. So that I think rolls us into really what's up next, which is Optimus. And that's kind of the product that it seems like Tesla turns to focus on. Optimus, Elon's called it many times, right? It could be the single greatest consumer product in history. They've talked about the cost, potentially getting into people's houses. There's other companies like that Neo 1X or X1 that's started to allow people to pre-order now. I think it's still a very early product, right? It's going to need to be like teleoperated in many ways to learn different tasks inside your house. It is not waterproof as well, so you don't want it going outside. There's all these different pieces. Optimus, they're up to its version 2.5. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so it's continued to come along. They had them dancing at the recent event. And it seems like this is a huge push right now that's happening, which is two kind of things: humanoid robotics and physical AI, right? And kind of merging together. And I asked somebody the other day about why they see Tesla as the one that is so far ahead in this race. And they talked to me about its distribution ultimately. Like Tesla's going to not just have an incredible product, but they're going to have massive, massive distribution, which is funny because they don't market or have really stayed away from marketing for a long time, but they've really built that network. So walk us through a little bit of like how Tesla slowly becomes less of a cars brand, more of this AI and humanoid robotics brand that it seems like they want to become. What year that's really possible? Is this kind of like, is right now, because people can't even get their hands on an Optimus yet. So I don't even want to say it's 2018 now, right? Of like you could drive a Tesla, but it can't drive itself yet. Where are we at in the stage?
Yeah, embodied AI is going to be huge. I think a lot of people underestimate how difficult it is to get that's going to be to manufacture these things. Tesla has designed a lot of its Optimus, the actuators and other things that help power it, and a lot of that was designed in house because a lot of these things didn't exist in the outside world, or at least not outside of China. And so I think a lot of people underestimate Tesla's ability to not only vertically integrate on that aspect, but be able to manufacture their own robots. And they don't have to outsource it at all. And they know how to manufacture well. They have a lot of experience in this in a way that, Figure or, 1X or the Neo robot, they don't have that experience. Um, I and Tesla also has the advantage of they have these massive GPU clusters that they can help train to Optimus on to become better in the real world, and they have the ability to capture a lot of real world data and to plug it into that system in a way that their competitors just don't. At least the startups, maybe the Googles and the Amazons of the world, they could figure it out, but um, I think we're a few years away from it really being like a household product. I think next year is version 3 will come out, and that's likely going to be just in Tesla factories. Maybe they'll partner with some other companies like they did with the Tesla Semi. They partnered with PepsiCo to do sort of a pilot program. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that with the Optimus robot as well. But I think it'll stick to sort of factories for a while and helpful tasks, and then it'll sort of move out into the real world everyday tasks. Maybe it'll start at like shops, like doing some sort of barista job, and then eventually I think it'll get to a point where it's safe enough, it's good enough to be able to, sell it as a product, a consumer product that people could put in their homes to do laundry, dishes, whatever. But you don't want a scenario where like Optimus accidentally falls over and like crushes a kid or hits the dog. You really want these things to be dialed in, and so I think they're just going to take their time, which they should. I know Elon is super bullish on timelines. He's talking about 1 million unit uh, per year annual capacity at a Fremont factory line, 10 million unit factory line at Giga, Texas. But just to play it safe, conservative, I'm still assuming this is a few years away, but I hope I'm pleasantly surprised.
How early of an adopter would you be to Optimus? Is it like they put up a post like, "Hey, you can pre-order an Optimus, first time ever you're pre-ordering"?
If the price is right, yeah. If it's like $100,000, I'm not gonna do it. But, if it's like 30, 40-ish, yeah, I'd try it out for sure.
What if they did a subscription model? What do you think of how the Neo robot did it? Because I think they did 20,000 to buy it or $500 a month subscription.
Yeah, that was interesting. On one hand, at first I was like, "Oh, only $500 a month," but when you actually do the math, you have like after 3+ years, you're
Yeah.
already paid more than the 20 grand you could have spent. So it doesn't really seem that worth it. Um, I don't think that bot's going to be very good. I mean, the Wall Street Journal showed a video of it like in a kitchen, and even though it was being teleoperated, it was still performing pretty bad. And so I think there are ways away from figuring it out, but it's a cool concept. But
Yeah.
I do like the subscription model. I think that makes sense for a lot of people. It's kind of like leasing, like a car. Why not just do sort of a similar thing with an Optimus robot? Especially because there's probably going to be, Elon already teased version 4, which is probably going to be a lot better than version 3. So you don't necessarily want to be stuck into an older version. So maybe a leasing or subscription model is a good way to do it.
But do the buy now, pay never.
Yeah.
Evan, you got any thoughts here on Optimus? The robotics?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think the opportunity is obviously endless, and I feel like we're going into this area. Robotics in general, to me, it is just when we're talking. Like one of the big themes that going on is U.S. production. Elon Musk has always kind of been about that. That's always they've had Gigafactory here, but it
Mhm.
is a bigger theme, and I think the way we end up doing that, I don't think it's just throwing people at it. I think it's automation and robotics and all that stuff. So I think that's definitely a big part of it. I do wonder what part of this industry ends up coming first, and like where the humanoid robots, if this is a 2026, 7, 8 thing, or if this is a 2035 type of conversation. Honestly, I really think full self-driving cars are here now. Like that is a next couple of years thing. I'm more in the Optimus might be in the decade type camp, but I'm excited to be wrong.
What's wild is like self-driving cars are here and most people have no clue. So if they have no clue about self-driving cars, you better believe they have no clue about humanoid robots. And so I think a lot of people do not understand the opportunity that the humanoid robot industry will have or does have, and the value creation that Tesla could see because of that if Elon executes on his performance targets. Things could get really like if Elon delivers on every operational market cap milestone, Elon's stock won't be worth $1 trillion. It's going to be worth a lot more than that. Like if Tesla's doing $400 billion of EBITDA on a 12-month trail on a trailing basis, Tesla's not going to be worth 8.5 trillion. They're going to be worth a lot more than that. So it's going to be a crazy next decade or so. That's for sure.